Good evening, everybody. Welcome to RVing in New England, and good evening, John.
Bob, nice that you recognized me this week. For the last 2 weeks, you didn't even recognize my existence at the opening of the show. But those letters from the lawyers obviously worked.
They did the trick. They said the first thing you open up tonight, the first thing you do is say hello to John.
Yeah.
Well, even with our guests sitting there right in front of us.
Hello, John.
We're still waiting. Hi.
They're wondering if they made a good decision to come on this show or not.
I know we did because I already see people saying hi to us, so I know that this is
there
the
you
right
go.
place for us
We're
to
reserving
be.
judgment till about 7:30, and then
Wait a minute.
7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central.
All right, so we should tell them we have Stephanie and Jeremy Puglisi from the RV Atlas now, and they'll get into that. And right out the gate, we've got Simone Morales Kilpatrick. Can't wait. Ed Hurlbert's on. Ed runs that RV Tips Facebook group with 160,000 members. Hey, Ed, and tell Debbie she did a great job on her cooking video this week. Well, actually, she didn't cook. She just showed every appliance in her kitchen, which is a lot for a motorhome. So we'll just leave that at that. Jerry Plant from Major's RV down on Cape Cod.
How about Sharon Powell? You skipped right over Sharon Powell.
Oh, poor Sharon.
Oh, hi, Sharon.
I didn't skip over her. She says hello from Maryland.
You
We
went
just met
right.
Sharon at an RV show.
Wait a minute. No, first she said she was so excited. Then she said hello. Oh, no, first she said hello, then Jerry, then Sarah, Sharon, and then hey Jersey, hey Jeremy and Stephanie. All right, so we got a good rockin' start. So which one of you two lovely people would like to tell us about your journey or yourselves? And here he goes.
There's only one.
Within 5 minutes, John will do this in every show.
There's only one lovely person on this screen,
So that's true.
and it's not a male.
He's cute, right?
I look a little better because I'm
He
next
needs
to her.
that. That's nice, John. It's really important to him to get a lot of love and
Gotta boost-
support.
we have to
I think
boost-
John's
we have to boost-
suggesting
wait a
that
minute.
you go first.
we
That's
let
why I
him come on-
suggested you go first.
So we let them come on the show and we have to boost them up too?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's just you'll get a better show out of it.
But,
you
Bob,
just have to know.
I think it's important to point out
I'm
that
not one of those macho RV guys. I'm one of those like sensitive RV
Yeah,
guys.
he's like an RV hipster.
we did tell him that even though he is a Yankees fan, he's prohibited to wear any Yankee gear on a show that's headquartered in New England.
And
That's right.
Yeah,
Smart.
and they just told me that now. They didn't give me any warning about it, so I can
Right,
still
right.
run
It's
up
not-
and get the Yankees out.
Well, that's because you didn't read the fine print in your contract, Jeremy.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it's
if
in
you-
there. Knowing our
If
New
you would
England
read that stuff, it wouldn't happen.
When I was
Mark
a kid,
Polk
I
just
met Joe
joined us.
DiMaggio at Disney World.
Mark Polk just joined us, and I assume Don is probably still at the veterinary clinic, and Scott Nichols from
No, Bob. Dawn is there. Look two up. Hi, Stephanie and Jeremy and
Hi,
Bob
Dawn.
and John.
Hey, Dawn and Mark.
And I have to say, I'll pause here and I will say to Dawn and Mark that we just got off a long run of doing seminars at RV shows. And
Wow.
at every single seminar at the RV shows, we always tell everybody that our very, very, very favorite RV expert, because he's a real RV expert, is Mark Polk.
Mark,
And that's where they
That's
should
what-
go if they
that's-
want to watch videos and learn something.
Yeah, but that's as of tonight. See, that'll change tomorrow after you spend an hour with John and I. That'll change.
Okay.
See,
All right. That's okay. Fair competition.
No, I mentioned Mark and Don in every one of my seminars. I show the slides, I show the products, everything that they do.
The real deal.
Now, the only thing, Don, is you said, hi, Stephanie and Jeremy and Bob and John. Probably should have been, hi, Bob and John and Stephanie and Jeremy. It is our show. So they're already giving you kudos, for running the show.
Do you generally give a lot of feedback to your guests?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And also our fans, too. But they keep coming back every week.
that's what we can't figure out.
Right.
We figure if we embarrass them enough,
They
in the
keep
first 5
thinking you're
minutes
gonna
of the
they
show.
keep thinking you're gonna talk about RVing, and then every week you
Right.
throw them.
Speaking about RVing, who's going to tell us how you? So you've been in that 10 years, but let's get the story out here.
All right. So the story goes that
you're Stephanie, right?
I'm Stephanie, the
Stephanie,
lovely
okay.
one. Remember, we covered that. The story goes is that we were never campers.
Barely,
barely. We a handful of times we tried and had funny experiences and stories that we would tell over and over again. But we weren't really campers. We were big road trippers. So we were married for a good 10 years almost before we had any kids. And the whole time we mostly traveled within the United States, not a lot of international travel. We loved getting in the car and taking long road trips. And as you can imagine,
But hold on a second.
oh, okay.
You didn't do international travel.
Not
Isn't
that
New
much.
Jersey considered a foreign country? So every time you went to either New York or Pennsylvania, you had to go through customs?
You're fine thinking that, so it's okay. We're okay
that's
here
true,
in New
John.
Jersey. It's true. It's true.
You know,
It's hard.
And you have
Don't worry.
and you have to bring your passport to Yankee Stadium too.
Or at least not your Red Sox gear.
if you can get tickets.
So we just love doing that. And as you can imagine, when we had twin babies, our very first attempts at road tripping were not maybe the smoothest, most enjoyable, stressless, relaxing thing in the world.
When the
Did the
boys
twins come first?
before we were married, or before?
No.
No, I understand.
But you have three children, right?
The twins came
Personal.
first.
First, okay.
The twins
Okay.
came
And
first,
then the camper.
and then
I'm not to judge.
Yeah, good.
we don't judge either. The twins came first, and like Stephanie said, we had road tripping in our blood. When we were dating, we took a road trip to New Orleans. When we got married, we went down to North Carolina to visit Stephanie's parents and went to Asheville. So when the kids were born, we decided we wanted to do some road trips with them.
Yep.
And the first one was to a hotel. So we took our twin boys, who were about 10 months old,
Yeah.
to one of those
Young
hotels with a water park attached to it.
Not in Atlantic City.
Not in Atlantic
No.
City. It was in North Jersey somewhere, though.
They weren't quite old enough for that.
And it was a disaster. Like, we just did not have a fun weekend in a hotel with our kids. We kind of realized, like, once we put them to bed, we were stuck in the hotel room. And we actually watched a movie on Stephanie's laptop that night, like in the bathroom of the hotel room.
So in order to keep the kids asleep, right?
Yeah,
there was
Yeah,
nowhere.
sad.
There was nowhere for us to go.
It was a sad moment. Like it was like, oh wow, we're not fun anymore. Like life is over.
We had to find another way. We wanted to travel and road trip with the kids, but we realized really quickly, like, the hotel thing was not going to work for us.
Yeah. And so like for a few different random reasons, things kind of came together and we decided that we were going to get ourselves for our 10th anniversary, which we had originally planned on taking a trip to Ireland, but babies. And we decided, okay, no, we're going to buy ourselves a pop-up camper. So that was actually our 10th anniversary present to ourselves.
We had Stephanie's parents used to borrow somebody's pop-up camper when Stephanie was growing up. So once a year, your parents would take a pop-up camper to Assateague State Park, and Stephanie's family would kind of
Assateague in Maryland.
Yes,
in
Right?
Maryland.
Yeah.
Let's not tell people about that place.
You have to pass through New Jersey to get there, John. So stay away. Okay, it's not beautiful at all. But I think that we just had this like romantic idea that camping meant a pop-up camper. Like we didn't know about
anything.
hybrids, travel trailers. We were completely unversed in the world.
We didn't
of
go to an
RVs.
RV show.
We just thought a pop-up camper. That's what people do.
What was your first shopping experience like? Did you feel overwhelmed, or did you kind of zero in on?
We were the worst consumers.
She has made car salesmen cry, this lady. But at the RV dealership, we got a smooth-talking RV salesman.
He was slick.
He was slick. We showed up with
and we were easy targets.
We had $3,000 saved up. And we went to the dealership to look at used pop-up campers. We wanted it to be a cash purchase. We didn't want to borrow money.
Coins or bills?
The salesman was like, that's not for you. Like, you guys, you deserve better than a used pop-up.
He was like, you want heated mattresses.
You want, USB ports in here, and you want a bathroom. So he takes us over to the brand new pop-up campers, and all of a sudden we are looking at $10,000 to $12,000 pop-up campers, which was like totally not in the budget.
Don't do that, people.
But he knew he was messing with our dreams. Like he saw that desperate parent look, that we really needed to get out.
he saw that first-time buyer that buys on emotion look
written across
Right.
the corner.
on the top of your head.
Yeah, at the time we didn't think we were making a super serious purchase. It was just kind of like a hobby. Like it was like we really needed to have fun, right? We were at the end, towards the end of our first year of parenting. We had twins. We were
Okay, so
10
you
years-
you already had the children. Did you have them with you
Yeah.
that
And we
day?
were married in a church
in
Did,
church.
did you,
in New Jersey.
in a big cake, right? In a
Yeah,
Sunday
there was-
wedding.
There was a cake, dancing, the whole thing.
But did you have the kids with you on your first shopping trip for an RV?
I think we did.
I think they did
Yeah.
come. It was
Yeah.
snow. There was snow on the ground.
We've
when we
never
were-
been lucky in the babysitter department. I'm sure they were there. They were always
Well,
there.
John and Bob have offered to babysit.
Oh,
which
that's
we'll-
nice.
Which we'll think about.
Yeah.
But there's a moral to this lesson. We walked out, and I'm still partly embarrassed to say this. We walked out and we bought a $12,000 pop-up camper. The $3,000 cash became the down payment, and we had the big loan. And that was a mistake.
And
Like,
it
we
was-
tell everybody that was a mistake.
I thought that we were going to have that pop-up
For
camper
20 years.
for 20 years. I thought we were going to send our kids off to college with that pop-up
The
camper
beat up
in the
old
driveway.
pop-up camper.
I thought it was the fanciest thing I'd ever seen. Like, how could you ever expect?
When she walked into that thing, she was glowing. Like she was so happy.
It just
And-
Were you
felt-
still under the anesthesia from the delivery?
Maybe it was. It was not. It hadn't worn off yet. All right, those hormones.
We overspent, and like so many first-time RV owners, we very quickly wanted an upgrade. And we know now after 10 years of experience that a lot of people don't buy the right RV the first time,
Right.
and
right.
then something quite unwe've happens, right? So
Yeah.
We've
a
all
year
been-
later,
we've all-
I wanted
we've all
to sell
been there.
that thing,
Yep.
and we were underwater. You know, I mean, there was depreciation on the pop-up camper. We had just been paying off the loan payments. So, you know, we were in not in a good financial situation. Like we should have bought that used $3,000 pop-up camper.
But we didn't care about being underwater. We needed a travel trailer. We were like throwing our money at them.
So it was an emotional buy as opposed to
Right.
a
The
large.
First time, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
second time we knew what we
RV
were doing.
And you do bring that up, finding the right RV for you in this book, which we'll talk about. In fact, I think we're going to give away a copy of it a little bit later. But
No, we're going to give away the other book.
yeah,
Audrey Foley Egan's on. She says the first purchase is so crazy.
Yep.
So you were not alone. Every one of us have gone through that.
Yeah,
Scott,
I think-
Hey, we'll give away a copy of this book too.
Okay.
Okay.
it's fine. We'll work that out later
you
on.
guys pick someone randomly. We'll sign it and send it to them.
we should do a show sometime, without guests, but, with our studio audience as a guest where we just talk about our first RV purchase and how crazy it actually was, because we did the opposite of you. We bought a 38-footer for the first time for just two of us. And I thought I could take that anywhere until the first
Yeah.
time I tried to go around a corner or back up in a gas station.
Well, we were just as bad. We had our first child and went to an RV show with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law to go, because they were RVers and campers. We were not. We just went to keep them busy for the day. And we walked out with a 24-foot Class C motorhome. Never had been camping, and I took one look at it. I love to drive. I said that'd be really cool with the kid. That one
That
kid
looks
at the time.
fun.
And the two, I said that looks like fun, and we've all done that. So let me get back to the business side of this. At what
He
point?
was in the 1800s when he did that.
Right.
It's a good century.
Yeah. At what point after you bought the camper did you decide you were going to turn this into a business? Did you?
Oh, that was ages later, wasn't it?
Well, it was very slow over the course of years. So we initially just started a blog for family and friends just because it was so wacky what we were doing. I know a lot of people grow up around RVers and campers, but it wasn't like we lived in an area in the country of New Jersey that a lot of people camped or RV. There weren't a lot of people that we knew. We didn't, it just wasn't a community thing. So just for the fun of it, we were both English teachers, we're both writers. We were just doing a blog. And
So
eventually
when did you start that?
the Lively Little
That
Campers
was 9 years ago. I mean, like
Yeah.
Stephanie said, that's really important. Like we both love to write. And
Yep.
we've both always been writers and teachers. So it was very like a natural extension for us to want to write about our travels.
So it wasn't necessarily a writing for monetization, but just
no.
just
not
to
at
kind of
all.
recapture the
Yeah.
moment, so that if you looked back on it a few years later, you could
Oh,
see.
that's what it
Yeah,
was. I
Right?
was
like-
just
Is
doing
that kind
it
of
for
what it was?
fun. It was fun to take the
Mhm.
pictures and write the stories afterwards. And for me, it was like a online journal, you know, and it was
Yeah.
just. It was also at the time blogspot. I think it was like it was
Everybody
all
was
new.
hopping on Blogspot.
Yeah.
And we just loved recapping the trips. And then our
Yeah.
like family and friends, aunts and uncles were reading it and kind of keeping up with what we were doing. I mean, there was no thought in our mind that this would grow into
No.
a business at
No.
that
All right,
point.
so when did the dollar signs pop up in your eyeballs?
I think it is so the blog, we kind of
Yeah.
realized that more people were reading it than just our
Mhm.
aunts and uncles and friends. I mean, we
Yeah.
realized we had thousands of people reading it. But even then, the thought of monetizing it or turning it into a business didn't really happen. That didn't really happen until we started podcasting.
Well, we
So-
we were freelance writing a
Well, we
lot.
were-
People just
okay.
started reaching out to us. So we like Good Sam. I think a lot of people at the time
People were finding our website.
people were finding our website, and we had noticed when we started reaching more people that what everybody was saying to us was that there was a lot of content for like retirees, like snowbirds and stuff, and then there was content for like more full-timers. So I lean over here like this. We'll snuggle.
That's why
Look.
I'm just bringing up a picture here. Keep going.
Here, you take the screen.
There was content for full-timers, but there wasn't a lot of family camping content. There just wasn't a lot of the whole weekend warrior thing where it was like two people, we both worked, we had kids. How do we get out and spend some time at the campground on the weekends and on vacation? That really, it's hard to believe this 9 years later when YouTube and all these things have just blown up. But at the time, it really wasn't there.
The content that we
Right.
wanted
Was
to
it?
read did not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like Stephanie, I can't emphasize that enough. Most RVers that were creating content were full-time RVers living in their RVs, or
Exactly.
maybe people who were retired
Yeah.
who had the time to do that. There was nobody like us that was like working hard all week,
Yeah.
scrambling around with kids, and then using that recreational vehicle as a recreational vehicle as
Yeah.
time allowed. So I think we kind
it-
of just wanted to fill that
So
gap.
people kept reaching out to us because I think when they were looking for that family camping writing, they would find
found
us.
us.
And
So,
so we
like,
just
Jay-
kind of kept getting more and more writing.
So Good
jobs.
Sam out of the blue contacted us to do some
Progressive,
writing. Progressive Insurance.
some big, some bigger companies reached out
Well,
to us.
that's
and
one of the things that I found attractive about you guys, because you're right. We tend to talk about the people who are full timing and those that go occasionally, a couple of weekends or a couple of vacations. But you've got a real good mix of almost not necessarily full timing, but you're doing 50 or 100
Mhm.
nights a year out on the road. You're maintaining 2 careers. You got 3 kids. You're Mr. and Mrs. America. You're the real deal out
It
there.
helped that we were both working in education too.
So you had that summertime.
We had, I mean, we were
Right.
gone 50 nights per summer. Like we did
Yep.
a 34-night RV trip.
Well,
one
that
summer.
was one of the reasons why we thought RVing would be so good for us, because you think about it, teachers, what do they have? They have more time than money, right? I mean, nobody's getting rich teaching,
Right.
but you do have time. And it was like, we wanted to maximize that time we had. And we were like, well, you can't do a lot of travel on a teacher's salary if you're flying, if you're staying in hotels. If you're doing that kind of travel, you're going to max out pretty fast on that budget. But with RVing, we felt like we could camp so much of the summer.
It was so affordable.
On our budget.
Like, I mean, some people think it's like RV industry propaganda, but it is really less expensive than any other type of travel.
Now,
depending
were
on
you
the
doing
decisions you
long
make.
on that 34-day trip? Was it a long distance trip, or did you go and stay weeks at a time at specific places?
We always like to hit a lot of places. We went
Yeah,
to
we
Fancy
moved.
Gap, Virginia, and we did Mount Airy, the Andy Griffith kind of Mayberry.
Yep.
Then we went and did the North Carolina side of the Smokies. Then we went and did the Tennessee side of the Smokies. Then we came all the way back and went to Myrtle Beach and ended up at the beach. And at that point, we were making that trip up as we went along. Like we weren't even intending to
Yeah.
go to Myrtle Beach. And at the end of the Great Smokies trip, we're like, we don't want to go
So
home
we
yet.
didn't want to go home.
Let's go to Myrtle Beach. And
We
it
had
was-
a book to write.
At that point, we were writing the Idiot's Guide to RV Vacations.
But if they want to know when it became a business, I have to say it was probably then. We were reached out to by Penguin Random House to write the Idiot's Guide. So we actually thought it was a spam email, the first email we got that was like, would you guys be interested in writing this book? And so at the time, we were just taking on a lot of freelance writing. And we had started podcasting because I was a tech educator. And so I knew how to podcast. I did it with my students all the time. And I just said, hey, Jared, this is such a good way to talk to people, right? Like we write all the time, but let's talk. Let's let people hear our conversations.
And we both loved listening to podcasts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And no
I
reading.
I remember
Yeah.
Stephanie saying, like, we've just got to start a podcast.
Yeah.
We love podcasts, and we should start one. So
We sat down at the dining room table on Friday nights after we put our kids to bed and we recorded our podcast for years. We did it that
and
way.
go ahead.
Let me take a break because we're getting comments fast and furious. So one thing we do ask after the show is if you would go back and read the comments, answer some of the ones that we don't get to.
Sure.
But Simone wants a signed copy.
Oh,
Free.
Simone Morales Kilpatrick wants a signed copy. Jerry Plant says his first RV was an old Gasser Class A that I sold for more than I bought it for. Actually, we did that with our Class C, Jerry. We held on to it for 5 years and made money on it. Now, I know you are important. You may not know how important you are, but you're important because Rick Kessler joined us tonight. And Rick
An honor.
Rick only joins us when we have important people on.
I love Rick.
Rick
Hi,
from the University of Michigan.
We love Rick too. Now, the weather's been good, Rick. Did you cook supper on dinner on the grill tonight? Let us know what you had.
Rick is like the president of the Midwest, basically.
Right. Him and his great.
Forget Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Pence.
No.
It's got
Pence
nothing.
went to Washington. Kessler stepped right in without even an election or convention.
Rick
But-
represents the soul of the Midwest.
Let me finish these. Audrey says she was happy with the tent and my husband wanted an RV. He and my son went searching and I refused to go with them. My son did the Banner White thing with all the features of the Class A and I got sucked in.
And have been that way for years.
Well, maybe if she had gone with them, she would have had a say in the process.
Which most women do. Women are the ones that purchase.
They always do.
RVs.
The guys buy the truck and the women buy the interior. I never bought the interior. We've had several.
Yeah.
I never bought the interior of one of them. But Estelle Drew is on from New Hampshire. Now, I know why Estelle came on tonight. Estelle has already won 2 of our contests in the past.
She's feeling lucky.
So maybe you'll be lucky, Estelle, and get yourself a book.
But we're
Jan?
changing it up tonight, Bob. We're changing the contest up.
Well, we might. Jan Saber West, hi from Prescott Valley. Is she part of your fan club, guys? Or
I don't think we know Jan.
We recognize Kim. We're part of Rick's fan club.
Yeah,
for
we're
sure.
in Rick's fan club.
Simone is
I
certainly.
keep telling
from
Rick
our
that he
world.
has to come on the show. I know Rick is very busy, but Rick has to come on
Well,
our podcast.
the last time I asked him, he said, "Oh, talk to my agent."
Yeah,
I think he said, "Talk to John."
Yeah, he has a big rider too. He's got meat only green M&Ms. There's a lot of stuff going on with Rick. He's
yeah,
And
All
he's
right.
making chimichangas in the air fryer right now.
right. So you know Kim from Indiana.
Yes,
Yes,
Kim
I
from
can.
Indiana. Absolutely, Kim
All right,
from
Rick
Indiana
says-
has a Class C. I
Yeah,
know
okay.
that.
Rick says, Jeremy, please tell the story of being in the hotel bathroom and seeing the Go RVing commercial.
Rick's combining 2 stories there, which he does sometimes. But
So,
I mean,
we already
I
heard
told
the
the
bathroom.
bathroom. I
We
told
already
the
heard
story
the
about the
story,
bathroom.
Rick.
At his age, he's lucky to remember. He's lucky that he showed us in the first half hour of the show, because generally at about 10 minutes of 8, with 10 minutes to go, Rick comes on and says, "Hey, everybody, I'm here. I'm sorry I was busy."
Right. I'm sorry I was late.
We
Right.
know it's dementia, and you guys should feel honored that he joined us at 7:20 instead of 7:55.
Absolutely.
So we
Yeah.
we test RVs for Trailer Life magazine, and we actually have been hanging out with Rick the past few summers. That's another
So
kind of
you-
fun thing.
So
we
you
do.
know Chris then,
And you know Chris. Chris has been on 3 or 4 times with us.
and from the great state of Massachusetts.
the great
That's right.
from
That's
Massachusetts.
right.
Another
But
great
he's on,
guy.
he's on the Yankee side, so I think he's still a Red Sox
And
fan.
you guys let him live there.
Yeah, we let him. We keep him in town. We do.
Hey, I'll take a free copy in a Debbie. Oh, Debbie. Okay. Oh, Debbie.
Debbie Herbert.
Well, you know what? Maybe she can trade a couple appliances for a couple books.
No, she can't have a free copy. I just sent her a free Bluestream sensor today. Yesterday it was in the mail.
Oh, okay.
We are also encouraging people to buy copies.
Well,
You can buy 'em.
Available.
You can get this at
Right.
Amazon, Target, Walmart, Books A Million, IndieBound, Barnes and Noble.
We
all over
we
the
want to
place.
go RVing,
But
so
we want to send our kids to college.
Right. I got them both this week. I got the ones that we're going to give away for RV vacations, and then I got these just came. The CEO of the Campground just came in today.
Just came
So,
out
yeah,
yesterday.
Definitely do that. Let's see.
We didn't do our share yet. Bob.
I know. I'll do it. Well, I'll do it at the half hour because we're having too much fun.
We have a set format, and Zagami just totally ignores our format.
he's a wild man.
We have no notes, but we do have a format that we're telling sponsors we will give them a spot at the 20 mark and the 40 mark. And Bob has already run. Bob is like the Howard Stern of family broadcasting.
See, when you're the producer of the show, you get to make those decisions.
The show clock means absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
He's
Nothing.
the one that has a printer in his office.
Typical
so he gets
stubborn
to make
New
Yeah.
Englander.
Well,
right?
Zagami,
Typical stubborn
Wait,
New Englander.
wait, time out. Wait a minute.
Wait, time out with you because
What?
you're not going to be here next week. I'm having Chris Matthews as my special guest host because he has nothing to do now on Wednesday nights at 7:00.
All right. Be quiet. Go do your share.
Oh, I can finally go now?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much.
We're zipped.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to do is take this moment to thank you so much for joining us live. And the only reason that we can reach 7 to 10 to 15,000 people per week is because of the fine folks like you that take time out of your day to watch us live and hit the share button somewhere on the screen that they're watching this on, whether it's a portable device, whether it is a tablet, whether it is a laptop, desktop, or whatever. But just hit share, and that allows other people who may not see the show with any degree of regularity. For once, they don't see it with regularity, and then they see it once, and they become regulars, just like all the people on the right side of our screen here today. So just hit the share button. We greatly appreciate it. And Bob, I know you have something.
I just want to quickly go through a couple more. John Sinisi's great show tonight. Rick Kessler says, new phone, who dis? I don't know what he means there. You right. Cheryl Wine says, hi, Jeremy and
Hey,
Stephanie.
Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
You can't-
She's one
We
of
can't
ours.
wait to start traveling this summer. Walter Swenson, who is the state director, him and his lovely wife Donna, state directors for the Mass Good Sam. We always have a lot of the Good Sam folks on. Frank Hates says, good to hear good solid advice, warning about avoiding mistakes in picking an RV camper trailer. First bought a 12-foot used. Well, he's got a long one, so we'll let you.
Rick decided to write a novel
Yeah.
in a comment here.
Frank, this is a short show, Frank, but we love your comment. We'll get back to that one.
It is a good comment.
Here, Walter says, come be our guest at the Mass Good Sam Rally if you are available May 22nd to 25, Memorial Day weekend. Mass Good Sam, he's got that down there. So
Wait, this is important. He wants us to be his guests on Memorial Day weekend. But the thing is look down the comments. See that Andy Fagan lady popping up? We can't
Audrey?
because we're going to be busy camping with her.
In New York State, in the Adirondacks.
Oh, Andy, yeah. And okay, Andy.
We've
yeah,
got
just right.
camping
Andy
to do on
Fagan.
Memorial Day
We
weekend.
just booked a great campground.
Where are you
for Memorial
going?
Day weekend. Moose Hillock in New York.
Oh, we know that.
Oh,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one in New Hampshire as well. We're going
There's one
to
in New Hampshire, right.
North of Albany, right?
They just opened up. Yeah.
It's actually right more in the Catskill area. It's not up that far.
Lake Georgie.
It's like
kind of?
Lake George area.
Lake
Oh,
George.
Lake George. Oh, that's way up.
Mhm.
That was
That's north of Albany.
is a trivia for you. Do you know what the original name of that was going to be?
No,
It was going to be the Chocolate Moose Campground.
I kind of
They
like
got-
that. I kind of like that.
No.
They got all the land cleared, they got all the roads in, they got all the stuff in, and then they ran out of money, and because
That was a couple from New Jersey that we met in Springfield.
right, and they own the one up in New Hampshire.
Yep.
Correct.
Nice
Yeah,
people.
we're excited. We're
Yep.
definitely excited.
Nice people.
All right. Andy says, "Oh, look at these kids." So she must be older than you.
No,
No.
I think she's talking about our little guy.
She's looking at the picture. You
Oh,
threw up
oh,
of
she's
our-
oh,
our
yeah.
kiddos.
All right, tell us about
I
the
gotta
two
tell
kids.
you about this picture, okay? Because our kids there are a little younger than they are now, and at that age, are older too. They were probably about 7. They used to wear their hair long. They would not cut their hair.
Are they
And
boys?
they are boys.
Oh, you have 3
and
boys.
Every single time we traveled away from the Jersey Shore, right around the Jersey Shore, it is very normal.
All the surfers have long hair.
All the surfers have long hair. It's very normal. We travel away from the Jersey Shore to the Midwest, and they would say, "Why does everybody think we're girls?"
So now they have short hair.
They are over that stage.
This is one of my favorite pictures from your website.
That was a great trip out to Mount Rushmore.
Yep.
Classic RV trip. Classic American RV trip.
Honestly,
Everybody
to
should
me,
make.
that's what it's all about. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
it really is. It brings back a lot of memories.
We say South Dakota is so underrated. It gets overshadowed by Yellowstone and Glacier and whatnot.
Yeah.
South Dakota is wonderful for an RV trip.
So Ed Herbert says, stop by Darien Lakes and say hi. Now, Ed, as I said, him and Debbie have the RV Tips Facebook group.
Okay.
Him and 160,000 of his closest friends.
That's a lot of friends.
But they are work camping for the 3rd year
cool.
at Darien Lakes, Six Flags Darien Lake in New York. You will have to, well, you don't have to go because you're coming up from New Jersey. But if you want another thing to tag on to your Memorial Day weekend, they're camping up there, and I'll bet you guys could tell stories all night between you and Debbie.
And we tell everybody that we think I think New York is the most underrated camping destination in the country. It's just a beautiful state.
Second to
When
Maine.
you go upstate.
Second to Maine.
There's no secret with Maine.
Huh?
Everybody knows
Maine is the
great.
best kept travel secret in America. What are you talking about?
We've done Maine.
I guess for
I know
us,
you did. You did it. I know you did Acadia.
We truly fell in love with travel. I feel like in camping and
Acadia.
RV travel in Acadia. That is like our home base for RV travel.
We've done about 5 to 6 RV trips to Acadia. That is our.
You stay in the same place every time?
You and 13.5 million people every year.
Yeah.
So it's the 4th largest or 5th largest most
You
visited.
stay in the same place when you go to Acadia? To Bar Harbor?
Because it's not my favorite campground, but my favorite campsite in all of America is
the Bar Harbor KOA. We've loved
right on the water, right on the point.
The one right.
Yep.
So you go out there, you're right on the water, and it is my personal heaven. I don't care that the rest of the campground isn't great shakes, and it's not my favorite place, but that site is, if I close my eyes and picture my happy place, that's it.
And never leave there with your awning out, because the wind can change, and take your awning halfway out the Atlantic Ocean.
It's where awnings go to die.
That's
Somebody's giving a shout out. Audrey's giving a shout out to one of our great campgrounds in New Jersey, which is the Jersey City.
Liberty Harbor.
Audrey's saying that. Yeah,
the largest asphalt campground in America.
Where is
Great
that?
view.
Right.
24-hour security.
You're talking about when the kids were young. When we had the Class C, and we had the second daughter at that point in time. We took them to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and we camped over in Liberty Park and took the train in from there. But it serves its purpose.
That's right.
You know, we're thankful that we're close to New England. I mean, New Jersey, because of the prices of real estate, because of how densely we're populated, there's the campgrounds. There's not a lot of campgrounds in New Jersey, particularly in central New Jersey. So we're so thankful for New York, and we have done so many trips to New England over the years.
You mentioned the Newbury KOA when you were talking about New York City in your vacations book.
Yes.
The Newbury KOA is another good one up there.
That's a good KOA.
Yeah.
Have you always had travel trailers, or have you ever done the motorhome route?
So we've always bought travel trailers, but we have rented Class Cs on, I think, 3 different occasions.
And we've got another one coming up this summer, another rental.
We've settled into doing about 1 trip a year where we fly out west and then rent a motorhome.
Yeah.
Partly because our work and our lives just don't allow us to like drive to Olympic National Park or drive to the Grand Canyon. We just don't have that time. So we've just discovered like we can fly out and rent a motorhome from Outdoorsy or RV Share. And it's cool because you get to try another type of RV. I mean, we both love driving a Class C. It's kind of a cool
easy.
experience.
You know, it doesn't take it's not a big learning curve
without the investment of buying one. But we've always been towable people, partly because I love a pickup truck.
Have you done Yellowstone in the rental?
No, we have not
No.
done Yellowstone in a rental
We
yet.
went out to Glacier last summer. So we
Okay.
usually do like our RV trips closer to home. We don't go over usually about 12 hours from our home base in New Jersey when we're doing our own personal RV generally. And then once a year, we'll do one of our bigger trips where we pick somewhere far away and we maybe fly, or we drove out to Mount
But
Rushmore.
we tell people to do the math, because like buying airline ticket, if you're on the East Coast.
Oh no, we recommend that to everybody.
Yeah.
Especially when they come, if they come up to me after one of my seminars, they say, "I want to rent we're in Boston." I say, "I want to rent a motorhome this summer and take my family to San Francisco or Yellowstone." Say, "No, we don't do that. Get on the airplane. You don't want to pay thousands of dollars to go across the country, not see anything, get pissed off because everybody's tired."
Yeah,
because
if you're just jetting from point A to point B, then that's not the point of the RV, right? The point of the RV is to really enjoy the drive, and if you can't do it, just ditch it and fly.
All right, let me go ahead. They're lighting up the airways tonight. Kelly Burge Rutkowski says, "Can't wait to hear how that campground is." And Kelly, I'm sorry, we're so far into the show, I'm not even sure which camp. You got any idea what camp?
Probably Moose Hill.
Darien Lake.
I think Kelly's one of our podcast listeners, maybe, and she knows we'll probably give her a review of Moose Hillock at some point.
Okay. Walter says, "Spent 4 weeks in South Dakota and 4 weeks in Wyoming 2 years ago." Walter's got a big Class A, fifth wheel, and truck. He's a truck guy too, and he always plans his summer trip halfway around the country. Audrey says, "Go to New York City and camp in a parking lot in Jersey." We already talked about that, Audrey.
Yep.
Oh, I called out that comment too early. I'm sorry. I skipped ahead.
That's all right. Kelly says, "We will be in New Hampshire in July." Great time to be there. Estelle says, headed to Bailey's Mother's Day weekend. That's a resort up in Scarborough, Maine.
Yeah,
right. I knew that's right.
Right near Pine Point Beach.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't wait, counting down the weekends. Audrey says, "We call it club picnic table as it's too expensive to dine and drink in New York City." That's true.
So they get a view of New York from the parking lot.
Yeah. All right. Riney Layberger, who is with Bradford RV in Brockton, Mass., has joined us. Good evening to all. Debbie says, "Jeremy and Stephanie, if you stop at the campground, if you stop by the campground,
Darien Lake,
we'll give you free tickets to the theme park. The boys would love it."
It sounds like a deal to me.
We'll give you the electronic introduction there for
Buffalo
that.
there.
Kelly says, "Newburgh KO was the first campground we brought our kids to. We tent camped with a 2 and 3 year old." And Frank says, "Has anyone out there gone to southern Maine,
South
Farm Maine campground,
No.
far out in the boonies, paved road?" I'd never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
I'm in Maine from May 1st to October 31st.
Okay, let me ask an intelligent question now. You stop talking about Maine. Nobody cares.
Wait. An intelligent question.
Yeah, an intelligent question.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear it.
This is a follow-up to one that Bob had asked earlier. Now that you have become part of the RV media, do you find that the activities that you partake in the campgrounds are different because a lot of mentally, are you thinking, how can we capture that either on tape for podcast or for print, as opposed to just going out and having fun?
I got a good answer for you. So
it was a good question, though, right?
It was a great.
That wasn't intelligent.
Such a precise question.
You know what it is? It's probing.
It's probing. It's
probing.
Here's people ask us this, and people are like, "Oh, is the travel ruined now because you're doing work?"
Right.
Absolutely not for us. And we love the podcast format for a very specific reason.
And the writing.
And the writing format. Because we go and have a blast and we enjoy these locations, and then we come home and do our content about it.
So
we come home a week later and do the podcast.
You're not stopping the activity there to go shoot.
Well, people always say, "Why don't you guys?" We have a YouTube channel at the RV Atlas, but it's a talk show format. Right. We're not doing YouTube videos with our family while we're on vacation. We personally don't want to travel that way. We want to really be soaking up the area without filming while we're there.
Hey, yeah, I mean, we have done some filming with our kids, like with Go RVing. We did their commercial
In Acadia
with
National
them
Park.
in Acadia.
And it changes the experience.
And it was so funny. We had to promise the boys that we would take them for a real hike the following day because they were so annoyed that they kept getting asked to like, okay, go back and do that again.
Do it over again.
Yeah,
do it over.
And for my boys, they were like, "This isn't hiking." Like
we did Gorham Mountain, and this was for the Go RVing commercial. It's on TV right now, and we've hiked Gorham Mountain 10 times, and our family can bust up there in an hour, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But for the TV commercial, it turned into like a 5-hour hike. And there's just no way around the fact that it changed or altered the experience, you know? So we love writing and podcasting, frankly, more than we love doing video of any kind, because it allows us to enjoy, for us personally, I'm not judging anybody else.
We just get to be in the moment.
We get to be in the moment, enjoy the location. Yes, I might take some photos, but then we come back and do the Trailer Life article. Or we come back
then it's on your time.
Right? It's on our schedule. It's on our time.
I'd say years ago we talked about on the podcast. Sometimes when we were going for an article, a travel article in a print publication, I felt the pressure to do a lot more things than we would normally do as a family because you felt like you had to cover the whole thing.
Yep.
And I only let that happen a few times.
Attraction.
And I was like, you know what we're good at is telling people what a comfortable, fun way to travel is, not how to do everything in the entire world.
Yeah, we don't get stressed out about doing it. I've also learned to get much better with my photos. So I used to drive Stephanie crazy by just taking photos all the time on a trip, like incessantly. And now I'm much more diligent and disciplined about it. So if we're covering the campground or covering a location, I'm going to set aside, 2 hours where I am just going to go around and get all my photos and knock it out.
Okay.
So the next day we're relaxing and enjoying. Because, I mean, this is precious time with our kids. They're growing up fast, and we really do. It's sacred time to us. I mean, we do want to really enjoy the campground experience with them, and we want them to enjoy it. We don't want them to feel like they're being run around for work. So we've been very protective of how we travel, and we really have maintained. It's still fun for us, absolutely.
Now I want to switch gears on you. I just put up that graphic. I think this is your latest blog or your latest podcast.
Yeah,
I think I took these off your latest podcast, and you talk about the gift of what you enjoy most and take away from camping. So why don't you run down those? Maybe alternate them and tell us why those are important to you and
Sure.
people that might be watching that still haven't taken the jump into camping.
So this is based on a chapter in our book, and we did a section of the gifts that we feel that camping and RVing give our kids. And then we also talked about some of the gifts that we receive as parents through this camping experience. So do you want to start? This was Stephanie's chapter. In the book, we alternated chapters, and this was hers. And a lot of people have really connected with this.
Yeah,
chapter.
I mean, I think that for flexibility, I just love the fact that my boys are so at home at the nicest ground resorts and also the most rustic national park campgrounds. And I remember a couple of summers ago, it really came out. We stopped at a Jellystone in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and they were in the pool and having a great time. And then right from there, we went to Badlands National Park and camped just in the middle of nowhere. And they were
Cedar Pass
climbing rocks from dawn till dusk. And I just thought, this is the kind of kid I want to raise, right? That
can conquer any environment.
Yeah, that's totally comfortable in both of those things. And so that was, important to me. And I also want to raise kids that play with other kids and that make friends at campground playgrounds. And we all know, I mean, I don't like to be like kids these days, but we do know that it is harder for kids to engage in that kind of neighborhood play that so many of us enjoyed when we were growing up. So
our kids are social, and we feel like, they're not afraid to go try out for the baseball team. That one of our sons is not afraid to go try out for band because we've brought them into so many different environments over the last 10 years, and they just go out and conquer them.
So it had to have impacted their personality, if you will, in that they would go to a playground and make friends with kids they didn't know because they do it all summer long. with different groups of kids, right? I mean, they learn to blend, because that's the thing I've seen, and Bob has seen that with his own grandson. I've seen it with our own grandchildren. Even that's how we met Walter, where our grandkids met each other in the playground, and then we realized who the adults were that were attached to the kids. But that's really an intangible that unless you get out into the campgrounds or to the state parks or to the national parks, you really don't know what we're talking about to get those intangibles as part of your
I mean, I said that
life.
in the chapter, that I can't like give myself a pat on the back and say, hey, I started RVing because I thought it was going to give my kids all this stuff. That's really not what happened. I mean, we started RVing because we wanted to travel with kids, and we thought that was a good way to do it. But now, 10 years in, looking back on it, I'm almost overwhelmed by how much I think it's shaped them as young men.
Like, they are a certain type of human being because of the outdoor experience. And
Bob, we got a lot more comments over there. If you want.
You know, we had the comment from Andy, who we're camping with on Memorial Day weekend. We talked about that. That's a perfect example. We met them at the campground. My boys are very good friends with her boys. We met through camping.
They're camping friends.
And we camped together. And our boys miss them when we're at home, our mutual homes, and we don't see each other enough.
And for, not just for kids, but for kids and adults, we have so many devices and so many digital options that I'm not just going to pick on young people for this, because it's me too. We can all make the lazy choice to just kind of stare at a screen, or we can get outside and be social and have good old fashioned conversations and be spontaneous and all of those things. And, the campground is just a great spot for that. It's not the only spot for that, but it's a great spot for those.
Is Andy a Jersey person or somewhere else?
Yeah.
Andy's a Jersey girl.
She's a Jersey girl. We met on Instagram. At the same campground. So there was a campground that we were both at, and we were like posting a picture. And so, there's benefits to social media in this crazy world, right? You meet people, you have fun together, you make connections, and their family's a dear friend of our families now.
Yeah. Like Jerry says, there's no way to capture Rushmore in writing or a podcast. You have to see it.
It's true. And we loved Rushmore. We've had people tell us Mount Rushmore is like overrated. Every single person in our family loved the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Rick says you guys settled in on the new podcast format. Seems to work really well to me.
Well, Rick, if it works well for you as the president of the Midwest, then we're gonna stick with it.
Right. I love the new podcast format. So for people that are listening that don't know, we used to do an hour-long show that was like a general interest show every week, and then we had a shorter campground review on another podcast called the Campground of the Week. And what we did was we sort of changed it up last year, and we went to doing 3 shorter, like 20-minute podcasts every week. So it'll be one oftentimes is on a campground or travel, but basically
a lifestyle topic, a campground review,
just shorter, different.
We were
topics.
Trying to tap into people's drive times and commute times in the world of podcasting, and everyone's so busy. So we're doing more podcasts, but they're shorter.
Yeah, and I love it.
All under the same branding?
All under the RV Atlas.
All under the RV Atlas.
We brought the Campground of the Week over into the RV Atlas. We thought, this is silly. A lot of the same people are listening to both, but they're in separate feeds. So let's just streamline it and do it in one feed.
We just hit 5 years of podcasting every single week. And we finally took a month off after 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's great. All right. Audrey says, when I was a kid, being a Navy brat and having moved from country to country every 3 years, that did the same thing to keep us kids flexible. But that was well before social media. And Frank says there are plenty of open
boondocking spots.
Boondocking. Okay, yeah, that's true. All right, so can we look at this? We got 10 minutes left. I told you it was going to disappear.
Contest.
Yeah, let me.
Contest alert.
Okay, let me bring up my contest slide. Boom, boom, boom.
This is exciting. We have no idea what's going to happen.
I don't either.
I don't. He does. I don't tell him what I do. I don't tell him what I do to get ready. He's seeing it for the first time, same as you. All right. So this idea, I have to give credit, came from Don Polk, because one of the things we struggled with, and if you got another idea, tell me. But we always struggle with contests because if they're not on the program, or if you say the first one that does it, that's kind of crazy. So Dawn came up with this idea. She said, have a contest where they have to go back and look at your last show and come up with a question. And then they have to be on the next show
to win.
And they have to be on to win.
She's a smarty, that Dawn Paul.
Very smart.
In the radio business, we called it forced listening.
Yeah. So on our New England RV Dealers Association channel, the one that's circled in the bottom left is Earl Hunter, who we had on last week, who's just started his new company, Black Folks Camp 2. And if you get a chance, go listen to that program. This guy, he's got a home run in this product.
Sounds
if you
great.
think you were good, they were even better.
I'm sure he was.
So here's the content.
You want to keep us on for 10 more minutes, right, buddy?
Well,
no,
we do it,
9.
We try to be, thankful of our people who join us every week, and they may have dinner on the table or something, so we try to cut it. But what is the name of the RV company where Earl was the VP of sales? Now, while you go to the channel and look at that program, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're just getting going on pushing our stuff over to YouTube. And then so I've got 2 of the RV vacation books to give away. So do you want to give 2 of your books away?
Let's do it.
That's
all right,
fine.
so
We can do that.
So the first 4 people who email me, and I didn't even put my number up there. I'll put it up. But
well, wait a minute. We're going to give it away in 2 weeks. We're going to give it away next week or right now?
no, we're going to give away in 2 weeks.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
This
And
is like what those 2 people, Kelly Ripa and somebody do.
Michael Strahan.
They ask the question about the show the day before.
Right.
Okay, so send me an email with your answer, and we'll announce the winners next week. And next week is another special event for us. We have been invited to the Winnebago National Dealer Meeting. We'll be broadcasting live from the dealer meeting in Palm Springs next Wednesday night.
Ooh.
And we're going to do a
Tough
tour.
job.
John, I know
Somebody has to
do it.
Suffering.
And John's going to do a tour with one of the, probably Russ Garfin from
Russ
Winnebago.
has been on our podcast.
Oh, there you go.
Everybody knows Russ, so we'll probably do it with Russ, and they're going to be going around and checking out a couple of the new RVs and what have you. So we covered.
Remember, that's the YouTube page, not the Facebook
That's the
page.
YouTube, right?
Go to
Not our
YouTube.
Facebook page. We're trying to build the
New England RV
traffic
dealers.
on the YouTube page, right?
And in the first 5 minutes of that video, Earl tells the answer to this question.
Stephanie, this was one of your quotes on your website. You want to read it? I think it's self-sufficient, but go ahead and read it.
Sure, I said, but then we had children and realized the horror and expense of staying in hotels and eating in restaurants with the tiny terrors. So on a whim, we bought a pop-up camper. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing, and it could have been a disaster, but it wasn't. It was amazing.
And that picture is from our first. That picture is from our first ever trip as RV owners
camper.
In that pop-up camper to a state park in New Jersey. And those 2 little guys ran us ragged all weekend long, man. We were exhausted at the end of that weekend, but we had fallen in love with camping and the RV lifestyle by the end of that weekend, too.
You don't dress them alike anymore, do you?
They will not allow that.
No.
No way.
So we're getting to this time of year, Stephanie. You said when the spring weather starts to arrive in the Northeast, we'd love to hightail it down to the Carolina coast region for our first beach camping trip of the year. So it's coming close. So have you already got a plan?
Yes, of
North
course we
Carolina.
Ocean Lakes? Oh, North Carolina.
We're going to the Tabor City Jellystone this year, which is close to Wilmington. But for years, we've gone to the Myrtle Beach KOA for years, and we've done James Island County Park in Charleston, and then the Mount Pleasant KOA in Charleston. So we've been doing Myrtle Beach or Charleston for almost like 8 years now for spring break.
Yeah.
You're tired of fried food, huh?
Great place for RV trip.
You got to admit, though, you can't get good Italian food down there once you hit
No,
South.
you don't try.
No, you don't try.
You don't try.
You don't try.
That's not. That's a party
they are
foul.
very.
You don't
See,
order
John,
Italian.
they are very smart. You're right.
Why would you? There's all the great barbecue down there.
So this is your current camper, right?
Oh,
No.
guys, we talked about that. That's my favorite campsite in the history of the whole world.
That's the Bar Harbor KOA.
Oh, that's Bahaba. Okay.
And
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
weekend we filmed the Go RVing commercial. And that is our toy hauler, which we just sold about 6 months ago. So that is not our current RV. We had the toy hauler for a few years and loved it. But we actually downsized a little bit into a new Jayco Eagle. But we loved that one. And
we downsized and got a wee bit fancy. We're not super fancy with RVs, but I got like a fireplace and some little upgrades in this one.
This one's we got solar, we got a generator.
We want to tell people to go to the GoRVing.com to see some. I actually have one queued up, but we're just running out of time, and it would just take the whole rest of the show. But we have to have you back. You guys have been fantastic.
We
Oh,
would love
thank
to
you.
come
It was
back.
so nice to
Let
be
me see
here.
who we left off here.
Rick.
Sharon Powell says, woohoo. Riney says, I know. Well, yeah, Riney knows the answer. Well, of course you should know the answer, Riney. And yes, you are disqualified.
That's right. He sold the company.
Yeah. So great show, guys, says Scott Nichols. John says, this is fun. Ed says, I know who Earl worked for. Yeah, well, you don't count either, Ed, so you're disqualified.
You've got a bunch of insiders here.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. They're here. They probably all watched the show last week.
Frank
Riney says, I have to disqualify myself because I previously sold that company's products. Rick says, hey, see you out there, Bob.
Oh, in
Rick,
Palm Springs?
Oh, is he coming to Palm Springs? Okay.
Woo.
Okay, Rick, you must owe me a drink or two.
You know, Rick.
It's a party.
Rick owes a lot of people a drink or two.
Rick, that's going to cost Sherm a lot of money.
Yeah. Are you just coming by yourself, Rick, or is Sherm coming, or who else might be coming with you? Oh, Chris must be. I bet. Oh no, I think I asked Chris if he's going. I don't think he's going.
Bob, do you have your special guest with us tonight?
Can I tell you something about Chris Doherty from Trailer Life?
You can't tell me anything about Chris that I don't already know.
Maybe I'll surprise you. So I am a gigantic Fort Wilderness fan. That is one of my favorite campgrounds in America, and we wrote about it for Trailer Life. Chris is a big Fort Wilderness fan. He loves camping at Disney.
Loves to take his Montana down there.
Yeah.
So DJ Odom, and I can't tell what his little icon is.
It's a hand wave. Hi,
Hey,
DJ.
Oh, that's the hand wave. Okay. I better go get my glasses checked.
No, Rick's going solo.
Huh?
Rick is going solo.
Okay. Andy said we had that site. Frank, we tripped to Canada in that 12-foot unit. Okay. Sharon says, way to go, Jeremy and Stephanie. Look at that, 758.
So, Bob, we got to tell people next week, really special. We've got a really special show. We're going to try some new technology next week that we have no clue at all whether it's going to work in the desert of Palm Springs.
But if it doesn't work, we can blame Winnebago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, which we've done twice already. But we'll be talking with the president of Winnebago. We're going to have him on for a little bit. He doesn't know it yet, but we will. And, we've had him on during a tornado, right? A hurricane or tornado, something like that.
When you're out there, right?
But it's going to be a great show. We're going to show you all the new units that they've got coming up and talk about RVing from the Winnebago perspective. And we want to.
Oh, they're a great company.
Join us.
Yeah, we love working
next
with them.
Week. Same time, same channel.
Walter says he's going to Fort Wilderness the last 2 weeks of September and the first 2 weeks of October.
That's a good time to do it.
I'm jealous, man.
That's an awesome time to go down there.
4 weeks.
And
4 weeks.
Don Polk says, great show. And I know what she's thinking, John. You know what she's thinking right now, don't you? She's thinking they've gone the whole hour and they haven't
talked about meat.
Tell her about being a vegan. Right. But there, I just did it, Don. So you're not going to get out of the hour without me saying it.
Good for you, Dawn. You do you.
She does. And Mark said,
have you met them? Have you met the Polks?
Oh, they're good
many
friends.
times.
Okay. So when you go to Wilmington, you'll have to meet them and invite them to a barbecue-only restaurant.
John,
I'll cook vegan for her.
We
John,
can do that.
I make a mean vegan pizza.
Yeah, John.
make a
your
vegan
AD
pizza.
John,
We're
your
from New
ADD
Jersey. We have more vegan friends maybe than the average.
Yeah, but see,
person.
John's ADD is kicking in
I think
because
John wants a big slab of meat right
well,
now.
no, because he was standing next to me and you two when Don and Mark introduced us at RVX.
Yes, we were actually in person. You're right. We were
Right.
all in
And
person.
we were all
together.
there, and we were busy doing something. You were busy, so we didn't have a lot of time.
Was this in the press room?
But see, John doesn't remember
He's
that.
not
In the press room?
Yeah, in the press room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. See, I told you.
Yeah. I think they ran out of donuts that week.
Well, the food wasn't that great.
Wasn't a
down
great
There-
spread.
there,
It's true.
There were
No,
some Yankee
no.
fans in there, and he got scared and he skittered away.
Got nervous.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Rick says, "What flavor ginger ale tonight?" It's the JD flavor, and there's no ginger ale in it, Mr. Kessler. So,
I have mango juice. Hey, we're
Yeah.
a minute over.
all right,
We're a minute over.
man. We could go for 2 or 3 hours. This was fantastic.
We can talk RVing
Yeah.
and camping all night long. Thank you,
so
guys.
much
I
for
know.
having us. We really
So
appreciate it.
here's the 2 things. Like we said, if you would, when you get a chance, go back and check the comments because we got a lot there that I know we didn't get to. And our goal every week is to have 1,000 views before you have your first cup of coffee in the morning.
Sounds good. We'll go back and answer some comments for sure.
And I got a funny feeling we might hit it before midnight. So, and we, as I said, we share it, you share it.
Hey, wait a minute. I just figured out something. This
What?
is our first all-Italian show.
She's not all Italian.
Well, I've got enough in me.
Oh, she's not? Now, you didn't have to spoil it for her, Jeremy. She could have
I've got
pretended.
some.
Huh?
I've got some. I got a good quarter in there.
Our part of New Jersey is very Irish Italian.
There you go.
That's another thing that people can't do when we travel to the Midwest is pronounce our last name.
Oh, one of my first mentors when I started selling photographic supplies and going to photography school when I got out of the service was John Puglisi in Cambridge, Mass.
Good guy, I'm sure.
Great guy, great guy, great mentor. Yep. All right, we got to get out of here because these folks want to go have supper, or I've got to go refill the glass, one or the other. You guys,
Thank you both.
you're really great. You want to say goodbye to our audience? We'll give you the last word.
Yeah, absolutely, everybody. Thank you so much for spending this time together. It was so nice to chat about, I think, really great topics, right? I mean, like we covered
Yeah.
a lot and it was fun. So thanks
Yeah,
so much.
thank
Travis.
you so much, John
We'll be
and
happy
Bob.
to be back.
Love to come back on.
Bye,
All right.
Put us
Available
back on
at
the
fine
road.
Everybody go
everywhere.
camping. Winter's almost over.
All right.
Right.
Get
Bye.
out,
Get
get
out
out there and go
on the
camping.
sun. You can have it in your house tomorrow. They're released. It just came out yesterday.
Comes fast.
And you guys let us know the 2 winners, and we'll send signed copies
Signed
directly.
We will do that. Signed copies too.
Signed
All right.
copies.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank
See
you
you down
both
the road.
so much.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you at
Thank
the
you.
campground.
Let's go RVing.
Let's do it.